and we'll start by taking a look at the hole-in-one he made on the Saturday in the PGA Championship, which was a special swing and a particularly special result.
This was some shot, by the way.
He always looks like he has something in reserve to me.
He swings under control at all times. It's one of the things I love what he did.
Oh, well, instead of being too excited to continue playing golf?
Yes, he did. You'd look good in one of those cowboy hats that Japanese guy had on, by the way.
Don't worry, the next time you're here, you'll be wearing one.
Well, first of all, I will say that my congratulations to David Toms. It's a fantastic feat. My hat's off to him the way he played the last hole, laying up to his strength, a wedge shot. Congratulations, David. And I have to congratulate David's teacher, Bob Aikens, for the good work that he's done. If we look at David Toms' swing, the one thing you will notice is excellent posture at address, in a good position. He really sets up to the ball beautifully. As he takes the club away, you see that the club shaft never gets behind his body. It's right on line with his feet. In other words, he's never got this shaft behind his body. David's not a very tall guy, nor is he a very strong guy, you would think when you look at him. He gets the club up in a beautiful position. You see a good plane of the left arm. You see how much higher his hands are than his head. Club there. Good full shoulder turn, very little hip turn. Maintain the flex in both of his knees beautifully. I really like the way he starts his downswing. Never letting the club shaft or his hands get behind his body. He gets his arms out in front of his body, delivers a perfect strike to the ball, beautiful footwork, good unwind to the lower body, as we see there. The other thing we will talk about is how under control he swings. I remember hearing his interviews last week, he said he was swinging at 80% all the time, into a beautiful on-balance finish. Once again, you see that shaft right through the middle of the neck, which shows you pretty much swung on plane. I really like that position. The other thing I really like is the tempo of this man's golf swing. He has done a great job. His instructor, Bob Aikens, has done a great job with him, and the results were a major championship.
David and Rob say that they always work on his swing plane, and then that's the key to his golf swing. How can the rest of us work on our swing plane?
Well, first of all, everyone's swing plane is different, depending on your height, depending on your setup. And a lot of that depends on how you set up to the ball. If you set up with your hands very low, your tendency is going to be to pick the club straight up. You're going to get a different swing plane. If you set up with your hands very high, the tendency is to take the club a little more on the inside. In reality, your swing plane is the position of your arm at the top of the swing in relationship to your club face. I like to say if you've got the club square at the top, your left arm for a right-handed player and the club face are parallel to each other. David Toms does that beautifully. The other thing he does, from this position here, he gets his arms in front of his body wonderfully. Everybody thinks you want, unfortunately, by getting this lag, this stays so far behind you, you have to use your hands to square the club. If you look at David Toms, and if you look at the speed he swung this golf club at, 75 to 80%, he was always in balance. It's like he just set the club here, unwound, and hit it.
So I'm sorry.
Great player with a very technically strong swing.
So when we hear the phrase over the top, that means over the top of your ideal swing plane?
Well, sure. Over the top would mean someone who kept their weight back this way, released the club out and over on a path to the left. Good players, in reality, are really trying to get their arms back in front of their body so they match up at impact.
We take a short break. We have our weekly innovative idea. We were going to go way back in time to something you invented, but don't give you. Actually, you were around for this next question. When the Open Championship began in 1860, a red Moroccan leather belt was awarded to the winner. It was decided that if a player won 3 times in succession, he would take permanent possession. All right, the answer to our question, it was, who won that red belt? And then what happened? Young Tom Morris won the Open Championship in 1868, actually a year after his dad won in 1867, 69 and 70, and took permanent possession of the belt, and then they didn't hold the championship the next year. When it resumed in 1872, a new prize, the Claret Jug, was awarded to the winner. And you know who won that championship?
Was that the same belt Jasper Parnevik was wearing Sunday?
It was actually.
At the PGA? He had a red belt on.
Had it refurbished a little bit.
He had a red belt on and red pants with some stripes. That was a good look.
If you would show up looking like that.
No, that's my son Claude. He likes that
with the Shingo hat. And actually, young Tom Morris won it again the next year when they resumed the championship, so he was the first guy to get the Claret Jug. Let's see what Dave in Michigan wants to work on in his golf swing.
How you doing, fellas? Thanks for taking the call.
Pleasure.
Welcome, Dave. Thanks for calling.
All right, first thing is I'm left-handed.
Okay.
My problem is all through my set, I hit my clubs fine, except for when I get into my woods. I have a tendency of standing farther from the ball because I feel like I get myself jammed if I try to set up like I would with my irons. I hit my irons great. I don't have any problems, except when I get into my woods, I just feel like it's just my right arm. I feel my shoulder actually press my neck, and I can feel my elbow break down instead of releasing all the way through the target if I set up like I would with my iron.
Now, David, let me ask you, how long is your driver? Do you use a standard length, or you have an over-length driver?
It's 45 inches.
45 inches. Okay, let's talk about this. We talked about this a second ago. First of all, I would tell you to check your setup at address. If you think you're too far from the ball, or you think you need that distance from the ball to give you room, let me show you what happens to you. When you stand too far from the ball with a driver, you're going to bend too much at the waist. You're going to be way too bent over. Your weight's going to be on your toes. As you take this club back, your tendency is going to be to stand up. As you stand up, when you come back down, gravity wants to pull your weight on your toes. You end up standing more, pulling across, hitting shots on the toe, and hitting shots weaker. What I would have you do is two things. I just talked about, where you let, in your case, your left hand come off the club, right here. Then I would have you stand in a drill with a ball teed up with your feet fairly close together and give you the feeling of turning more and hitting it. Swing about 60% of your power. Feet fairly close together, what you feel is closer to the ball. The reason the feet close together helps you because it makes you turn your body out of the way. And if you'll swing at 60 or 70%, you'll feel the swing better. And Dave, I think this will help you drive better.
We've got George from Washington, and don't ask if it's George Washington from Washington. George, how are you, sir?
Oh, I'm real fine. Thank you, Peter.
Thanks for being with us.
George, it's a pleasure.
Say, I'm either slicing it or blocking them on my driver, and it doesn't feel like I can drop down into the slot and come from the inside and square to the ball. Is there a drill that I could practice? Because I practice all the time, so I do those same type of shots all the time.
Well, George, if you're slicing the ball a lot and you're hitting the ball off the toe and pushing it, it's because you're coming, obviously, too much from the inside. It's pretty hard to hit the ball off the toe with a club face open if you're not coming from the inside. What I would have you do is take your umbrella and lay it on the ground fairly close to the golf ball, this way. What this will do on your downswing, it'll give you the feeling of having to get your arms out in front of your body. What you're doing is you're coming in, lower body out racing, your hands and arms coming in from the inside, club face wide open. So I would have you put this umbrella down here so when you come down, you're going to have to feel like you're swinging out and you're going to miss that umbrella. You're going to feel like you straighten this right arm a little earlier by getting your arms out in front. You're going to release the club. You're going to hit the ball out straighter.
You make it sound so easy. John in Pennsylvania, how are you tonight, sir?
I'm fine. Butch, happy birthday coming up here.
Well, thank you, John.
Peter, what a guest, huh?
Makes it pretty easy.
My question is, and I get so confused on this, I heard you talking to Mike Schmidt last night. This baseball thing, they say the swing should be like the baseball swing, you know? And my point is, when I come right to impact, where should my hands versus angle of shaft be? I'm confused.
Well, first of all, the golf swing isn't exactly like a baseball swing because nobody's throwing the ball at us, thank God. But there are a lot of similarities in the way the body unwinds to hit a baseball and how the golfer unwinds to hit a baseball. What you want to feel coming into this ball is you're trying to get to the same position that you set up at, only with your weight transferred a little. So you're trying to return to this position. The easiest way I can tell you to feel it is tee some balls up with about a 6-iron and make some swings with just your right arm. You won't let the club lay down behind you. You won't come over the top of it. Do it slowly, and as you make that swing, you'll feel that right arm straighten out as you come down into the impact area, and you get a good straight line with this left arm and this shaft. This will get you in a better hitting area.
I heard that Tiger, when you had him do that drill, just hit beautiful golf shots after a while, one-handed.
Tiger's unbelievable. He can hit it with his left hand, with his right hand. He just hits the ball good with anything. He can do any drill, and yet he doesn't like them. And you've heard him come on this show and talk about how he doesn't like to do drills. but they help him. One of the things Tiger Woods did in '98 when we changed the swing a lot, when he was going through that changing program, was hit a lot of balls in slow motion. In other words, make swings at this pace so you can feel it. For all of you listening at home tonight, when you practice, make a lot of swings in slow motion. Hit shots in slow motion. Tee the ball up. Literally swing about 50%. You can feel where your arms are. You can feel where the shaft is. You'd be amazed how well you'll hit it.
After this short break, we're going to have our Adams Tight Lie living room lesson with tonight's subject, Ed Barrett Jr. Stay with us. I want to see your swing. Our audience wants to see your swing. If we use your video on air, you'll receive a new Tight Lies ST fairway wood from Adams Golf, the first to feature multi-material bi-matrix shafts. So send us your swing. Instructions. Use shutter speed. Make it SP, not EP, on your camcorder. Let's see you from down the line in all your glory. Let's see you from the side view so that we can have another look at that magnificent move. Show me your perfect grip and a close-up of that incredibly handsome face. Then, send your tape to Living Room Lesson, care of the Golf Channel, 7580 Commerce Center Drive, Orlando, Florida, 32819. And we'll see you right here on Academy Live. Welcome back. Tonight we have as a guest over the phone, but we've got his swing in the studio, Ed Barrett Jr. How are you tonight, sir?
Hi, Peter. Just fine. Hi, Butch.
Hey, Ed, how are you?
Good.
Ed, let me ask you a couple questions. What's your handicap?
Handicap's 12.
Good. Do you get to play a lot?
I play a good bit. I'm retired. I play about 3-4 times a week, and I'm a rage junkie on the other days.
Well, you play about as much as Kessler does.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at Ed's swing, and we can see if we can help you here, Ed.
Okay.
Well, first of all, what I would say posture-wise, do you use an extra long driver, 46, 45 inches?
At 45, I believe.
Yeah, to me, you look like you're bent over quite a bit and a little too far from the ball. So I would tell you to probably stand a little taller, nice knee flex, but don't be bent over so far. And I think a lot of that is because you went to the longer driver.
Mm-hmm.
If we look at your takeaway here, you really have a tendency, and this is what a longer club does to you, to really get this club behind you, but with very little wrist cock. So the club has gone back quite a bit on the inside, but yet you haven't cocked your wrist much. And this is where your loss of power comes from. As we go on a little, even to that position there, you really haven't got much wrist cock at all. We can see how flat the plane of your left arm is, and that's pretty much the top of your backswing right there. So what happens from this position is you're going to have to throw your hands at it. You can see how laid off the club shaft is and how flat a plane you have. Now, you've made a good turn in your shoulders, but because you've never got your wrist cocked, you really don't have anything to hit it with coming down. As we watch the start of this downswing, we see a pretty good release of the right hand very early. We also see that that shaft gets underneath the right forearm, meaning because you took the club back so far on the inside, it's coming from so far behind you. And now coming into the hitting zone, you're going to have to really throw your hands at it. You can see that shaft underneath your right forearm. We'd like that on the right forearm or really above the right forearm if possible, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. So we come into the hitting area, we see a very closed club face because you've thrown the club at it. You're very flat-footed because your weight has stayed on the back foot, which causes your spine to back up, as you can see. This is the throwing of the hands at the ball. From here, unfortunately, you've lost a lot of power. You haven't gotten your left side, and you've really used a lot of hands and arms and not allowed yourself to come from a right position. From here on, the swing actually looks pretty good with the exception of the arms extending too far. I'd really like to have you have the feeling of letting those forearms re-hinge themselves. That would help you release the club more, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. There is that extension of the left arm. We don't see that wanting to fold any. You're still on your right foot if we look at the picture on the right. You still haven't gotten off of that. As we go to the finish, you actually end up in a nice finish position because you give it a little bit of a fake finish there at the end, Ed, after the ball's gone. So a couple things I'd like to tell you that will help you get more solid contact and will help you hit the ball better. If you think about, first of all, in your setup, if I can get you in your setup not to be so extended out this way, and that 45-inch driver is what's done that for you. It's really got you out this way. I would have you get just a little closer to the ball to get your spine angle a little better. I would actually have you feel like you're taking the club on the outside by hinging your wrists a little more. If we looked at your swing, you got all the way to here, and there wasn't any wrist cock, and at the top of the swing, you were about here, and there wasn't any wrist cock, in a very flat position. The flat position here is because the club just started so far on the inside. So I would have you get a better spine angle, feel like you let the club head go before the handle of the club goes. Actually feel like, Ed, it's going a little on the outside. And then as your body turns, continue to allow these wrists to hinge to take the club up. This will get you in a much higher position with your hands, because as you can see, you're very flat, and because this left arm is across your chest when you start down, this is why this shaft gets so far underneath. Your spine angle backs up. You throw your hands at it, your weight stays back. If we can get the club head going before the handle and continue to let this go up this way, and then just get off of your right foot coming down, you're going to hit the ball a lot more solidly, and you're going to have a lot more feel there. You're not going to have to flip your hands at it so much to try and square the club head. Now, when you do this, I'd like you to make slow motion swings. You can do that in your living room right now. You can get the feeling of the hinge off the ball this way. As you hinge it, let the things go up. Let the club head, let your left arm go up, then just go ahead and let your weight transfer. I know this sounds like a lot. You have good flexibility. I think you make a good shoulder turn. The problem is you went so far on the inside with your shoulder turn that your left arm plane's too flat. The takeaway will help get your left arm up. This will help get your arms in front of your body. You're the type of person that probably plays a lot and you practice a lot, so these things won't be too difficult for you to do.
Didn't you want to say something, unless I missed it, about the forearm and the shaft on the way down?
Well, the reason that the club gets underneath the forearm is because it comes from too flat a position. And it starts down in this position here and gets way underneath. By letting the club go up a little more this way and the left arm go up as he starts down, that'll correct itself.
Not everybody's built like Tiger, and not everybody's body responds like him. What would you tell him about getting his center out of the way, which you suggested was a little in his way in his through swing?
Well, the only reason it was in his way is because where he came from, Peter. By getting the club shaft up a little better going back with a hinge in the wrist, he's going to be able to get his arms in front of his body more. Ed, how old are you, Ed?
62.
Ed, you look like you're in very good shape. You've taken care of yourself. You're strong. I know you don't hit the ball as far as you'd like to. That's why you've got the 45-inch driver, trying to give yourself a little more hit. By getting this better takeaway and the better plane of this left arm, it's going to allow you really to generate a lot more speed. And by generating more speed, you're not going to have to work as hard, and I hope you play better.
Thanks a lot, Butch. That's what you've been talking about for the last 2 days. That's exactly what my problem is.
I've probably been talking about that for the last...
Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you so much, Peter.
Take good care and good luck with your game.
You betcha.
We'll be right back, everybody.
Welcome back to Academy Live with Peter Kessler and Butch Harmon.
We have Henry on the phone. Henry, what's the matter with your golf swing?
Hi. Well, I actually had an original question which you've already answered, but there's so much to know about the golf swing that the other thing I want to know is distance control from 100 yards in, because I'm not bad, but I have a tendency to either hit it short or hit it too long.
Well, first of all, Henry, what I would tell you, and how many wedges do you have, 2 or 3?
I have 2. I have a pitching wedge and a sand wedge.
Okay, I would have you go out and do a little drill. And it may take a little time, and you want to go out to maybe the right side of a range where nobody is, and I'd walk off some distances. I'd walk off 50 yards, 80 yards, 100 yards, 110 yards. Then I would tell you to take your sand wedge and make 3 swings. Take the club back to your left arm is parallel to the ground, hit the ball. See how far it goes. The next thing I would tell you to do is go back about 3/4 length hit the ball, see how far that goes, and then go all the way back, make your full swing with your sand wedge. Then do the same thing with your pitching wedge. The reason this is important, by having 3 different lengths of backswing with the same amount of follow-through, you'll find that you'll hit these 2 wedges about 6 different yardages. Then when you get in a situation, you know that with my sand wedge, if I just take the club back to my left arm as parallel with the ground and hit the ball, it's going to go 50 or 60 yards. If I go a little further, I know what it's going to do. You have to figure out when you practice how far you hit these shots. The only way you're going to do that is on the practice tee. And you got to know what the yardage is. You can walk out there, lay some towels on the ground at various yardages, make the swings from the different lengths of swing with the different wedges. You get your wedge control under better control, and if you do, you shoot better scores.
Lots of us recreational players swing the club back much farther than we think we are swinging it back. How do you keep from letting the arms run off past the point where you would ideally like to?
Well, really what happens, Peter, is people finish their turn and their arms are about right here. Nothing else in their body moves. Their left shoulder doesn't move, their left knee doesn't move, their belt buckle doesn't move. All of this just caves in. Now as they come down, they're in their own way. So what happens, this caves in, it bounces out, and you end up throwing it. What I would tell you to do is just make a few swings in front of a mirror. Don't look at the mirror. Take the club back to your body's finished turning and look where the club shaft is. You'll find that most of the time your club shaft will only be right here. Well, that's as far as you need to go. You've got a full wrist cock. You unwind from there, and you're able to hit the ball a lot more solidly.
Let's check in with John in Massachusetts. What's going out the swing, John?
Not too much there, Peter. Bush, fantastic show. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
I see my swing on tape, and I overswing. And I make a nice shoulder turn, but for some reason I just bring that club too far back, and I know it throws me off and gets me off playing and stuff. So I know you've shortened tires considerably. I've seen pitchers when 16 and then 21. And how do you shorten your swing? What drills do you do for that?
Are you a right-handed player, John?
Yes, I'm a right-hander.
Okay, easy drill for you to do. All I want you to do is make a swing, and if you collapse and get long, you'll see how close your hands are to your head. You want to try and get your hands as far away from you can at the top of the swing. So when you get to the top of your swing, you're trying to push your right hand and right arm as far from your head as you can. Now, your swing's going to get shorter, but in reality, your arc is a lot bigger. By doing this, you've now created a much bigger arc on the way down. You can make a long swing from here, and you have a very narrow arc. Actually, the guy that swings this way or the guy that swings this way, this short-looking swing is a much bigger arc than the long swing. Do it not by trying to keep your left arm straight. Just feel like you're trying to keep your hands as far away from your head as you can keep them. If you get your hands out here, you get them in front of your body a lot easier.
Jeff in Ohio, tell us your swing trouble, sir.
Hi, Peter. Hi, Butch.
Hey, Jeff.
I have a problem with my leaving divots. I'm hitting about 2 or 3 inches behind the ball about 20% of the time, and I'm not sure how to control that. The divots are nice and square, but just about the 20% of the time I hit behind the ball.
Well, there's 2 things that happen when you hit the ball fat. Number 1 is you could be losing the club at the top in your grip, and as you start down, you grab the club again. As you grab it, you end up throwing it. This causes you to reach the bottom of your arc sooner. An easy way to check that out is just see if you're wearing out a spot in the palm on your glove right here. That tells you that you're letting go of this club, and as you start down, you're grabbing it. The other reason you hit the ball flat is because of a lack of a weight transfer. In other words, a feeling of your weight staying back here, which causes you to throw the club from the top. So what I would have you do is I'd check your grip pressure. If you're losing this club, and once again, you'll know from this worn out spot, get your club in your hands a little better where you've got a hold of it, and then really let your weight transfer to your left side. Don't feel like you're staying behind the ball. Actually feel like you're moving ahead of the ball, or you're letting your head rotate early like a David Duval does. And that'll really help you.
When you talk about the release, what are you releasing and where are you releasing it to?
Well, people get confused with the release. They think that our hands work that way. In reality, our wrists just hinge this way. If we think about it, we go to the top, we hit the ball, and we come back this way. What you want to feel for a right-handed player is a right forearm releasing over the left forearm. Let the elbows bend. A good drill is to let these elbows rehinge themselves. Feel like you're letting your elbows rehinge. We saw that in our living room lesson with Ed. where he tended to be too much out here. When you hit balls, just feel like both your elbows rehinge themselves. That'll give you a good release.
Let me tell everybody how to find you and your great staff at your 2 locations. If you'd like to work with Butch Harmon and his incredible staff, you can do so at the Butch Harmon School of Golf, 1 in Henderson, Nevada. Call 702-777-2444, or a really cool spot to go, our Lucaya, the Grand Bahama Island, 877 our BHSG. Took me all day to figure out Butch Harmon School of Golf, or you can log on to butchharmon.com for information and reservations, and to order some of Butch's incredible video series, which he's been doing for an awfully long time, the harmonvideos.com. Again, 702-777-2444 for Henderson, Nevada. For our Lucaya, 877 our BHSG. Or log on to butchharmon.com or harmonvideos.com to purchase the videos. We'll be back.
Academy Live, brought to you by Etonic. Walk in comfort, play with confidence. By Gateway and Gateway Country, people rule. By Prudential Financial, a rock-solid leader in financial services. By Microsoft, provider of software for the agile business, helping you gain a competitive advantage in the business arena. And by Titleist, the #1 ball in golf.
Your new video series, a 3-tape series, modestly titled Butch Harmon's Ultimate Golf. Tell us about it.
It's a great series, something I'm really proud of. We filmed it down at the golf school at our Lucaya. We've got a tape on the short game. We've got a tape on the long game. We've got a tape on intermediate play. And then we have a 4th tape that you can get that's all about course strategy. And I think that's so important that the average person understand that. My son Claude and I did the course strategy tape. It's a nice tape series. We've done some course IQ, as you can see, is one of the things. Power play, short and sweet. It's just fun. We did a lot of documentary stuff in the middle of it, so it's not just teaching. It talks about people that I've taught, people that I've known my whole life, along with some good instructional stuff. I'm very proud of it. It turned out very well. I did with a company in Canada, Firelight. They did a great job producing it. Jay, one of your producers here, was the guy who did it for me. It just turned out really nice.
Some of us don't really know how to watch one of those videos and use it properly. So many times we'll just put it on, watch the whole thing, remember 3 things for next Saturday. What's the real way to use a tool like that?
Well, I think when you buy a tape or you buy a golf book, figure out what it is you're trying to get out of this. You may not necessarily have to watch it. In my tape system, for example, there's 3 tapes. And you can watch the various things. You can see the power, you can see the short and sweet, which is a short game, or course IQ. Figure out an area that you really need some help in and watch that part, or if it's a book, read that part of the book, because you can get confused watching everything. The reason I made this tape series differently, the reason I talk about my family a lot and my dad a lot and famous people that I've been fortunate enough to meet, is because I wanted people to enjoy watching it. Because a lot of times just talking about the golf swing can be boring. And so we made it fun. We made it fun for you to watch it and to learn from, and it's doing very well, and I'm very proud of it.
You're proud of the golf schools. Give us an update on what's going on.
Golf schools are great. The school in the Bahamas is just coming online. It's going to be wonderful. For those of you on the East Coast who are looking for a great vacation resort, our Lucaya at Freeport, Grand Bahama Island, wonderful place, great hotel, 2 good golf courses. The golf school is fantastic. We created the same environment that we have in our golf school in Las Vegas. I'm very proud of it.
It's so nice to have you here. You know, I never feel like I'm doing any work when you're here.
Pleasure
it's a lot
to be
of fun.
with you, Peter, and I love the Golf Channel.
It's my great pleasure, and happy, healthy birthday, Butch.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being with us. Good night, everyone.